This display of family is what we're about.
Tonight on Connecticut's news station, Hartford police officers packed the courtroom supporting one of their lost brothers. And Fox 61 was the only camera in the courtroom as prosecutors upgraded charges against the 18-year-old accused of killing a Hartford officer in a crash.
Plus, who is the woman at the center of the surveillance video now involved in a potential ballot fraud investigation? We'll take a look.
When it's busy here, we're crowded wall to wall. People want to come see the cows.
And fair season moving right along. We're at the opening day of the Durham Fair with a look at all the fall fun festivities getting underway tonight.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And good evening, and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
I'm Sarah Sanchez. We begin with the Fox 61 exclusive. Connecticut's news station was the only TV station inside court today as prosecutors upped charges against the 18-year-old high schooler connected to the death of an on-duty Hartford detective and serious injury of another officer.
Yeah, there was a show of force by the Hartford Police Department, both inside and outside the courtroom. Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez was there and has been digging through the warrant.
This warrant details why Richard Barrington is now facing manslaughter charges. Officers were here in full force to speak for their fallen officer's family and for their fellow officer who is now living with life-altering injuries. Nearly a week after Officer Brian Kearney was pushed to the wake for Detective Robert Garden, a show of force by Hartford police at court.
The presence of HPD is to signify the family and the surviving officer's commitment to seeing this case through.
State's Attorney Sharmise Walcott upping charges against Richard Barrington Jr. Thursday to manslaughter and assault in the first degree.
His family and friends are in the courtroom this afternoon, Judge. All I can request of the court is that Your Honor take into consideration his age, the lack of a record, and his ties to the community.
The 18-year-old told police he, quote, did stop, but then felt scared, put the car in drive, and took off on the night of September 6th, killing Detective Garden and putting Officer Kearney at risk of death due to internal bleeding. Barrington was reportedly on the phone with a friend explaining that he was fleeing from officers while blowing past 2 red lights. Documents show police found cannabis and a scale in his car.
They don't want us pursuing vehicles to some degrees. There's stipulations within that. I think they need to balance the scales.
Hartford Police Union President James Rukowski says the showing of force by officers is also a plea for judicial and criminal accountability following laws passed in the wake of the killing of George Floyd by Minneapolis police.
If you're going to tell us that we can't put the community at risk, well, then I think the people that are driving those cars, like Mr. Barrington did, need to know if they do that, the penalties are going to be increased and not be a misdemeanor.
And union officials tell me they are working with lawmakers to advance legislation. Meanwhile, Barrington is behind bars with bail set at $1 million. In Hartford, I'm Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We continue our coverage of the alleged absentee ballot fraud in Bridgeport. We told you about Joe Ganim, John Gomes, and the state investigation underway. But who is the woman at the center of the surveillance video? Fox 61's Matt Caron investigates.
Well, the lady caught on camera allegedly stuffing white envelopes into this absentee ballot drop box works just feet away here at the front desk of the Margaret Morton Government Center. This is the post of Wanda Gator Pataki, except she's not here. Put on leave pending the investigation into absentee ballot fraud. Still collecting your taxpayer-funded paycheck. Where's Wanda? Fox 61 made a house call.
Hello?
Yes, we're looking for Wanda.
Wanda's not here.
All right, yeah, we just, Matt Caron with Fox 61 News. We had a couple questions to ask her about the video that appears to show her stuffing the ballot box.
Nah, you have nothing to say about that.
Fox 61 learned Wanda Gator Pataki is an operations specialist. She made about $60,000 in 2020, a public supporter of Mayor Joe Ganim. She also manages Pataki bail bonds and is a justice of the peace.
She was ultimately referred by SEEC over to the state's attorney's office.
And yes, she's the same woman named in a 2019 State Elections Enforcement Commission ballot fraud investigation, which has been referred to the chief state's attorney's office for possible criminal charges.
Without getting into names, there's a city employee who works at the front desk, clearly, so no,
supports
no connection,
you.
no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been, that's right.
And speaking of not getting into names.
You have to come back downstairs, young man.
Hi, who are you, ma'am?
I work downstairs at the front desk.
And your name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl?
That's Wanda, giving a false name to First Amendment auditor Sean Paul Reyes during his recent visit to the city offices.
Excuse me, ma'am. You told me your name was Cheryl, but I seem to hear everybody calling you Wanda. Did you lie to me about your name, ma'am? Ma'am, did you lie to? Did you lie to me about your name, ma'am?
No, I don't lie to you about nothing.
Everybody's calling you Wanda, but
That's my name. My name is Wanda. Yes, it is.
Wanda also happens to be the vice chair of the Bridgeport Democratic Town Committee.
This same person was a celebrated political operative of the Connecticut Democratic Party. In 2019, she actually received a state party award at the El Grasso dinner. So this is somebody that the state Democratic Party knows.
State Democratic Party Chair Nancy DiNardo.
What do you know about her?
Well, actually, I really don't know that much about her. I'm not sure that I really know her. I know the family. I know she's the vice chair, and I know I have met her, but other than that, to say I know anything about her, I don't.
All this while Mayor Joe Ganim continues to question both the authenticity and custody of the surveillance video itself. And while a judge gets set to rule on Monday whether Bridgeport's primary results should be thrown out and a new primary be held. Reporting in Bridgeport, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Matt, thank you. This situation in Bridgeport raising bigger questions about election security here in Connecticut. Some state lawmakers calling for reform and oversight. Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst spoke with state lawmakers. So, Emma, what is the legislature planning to do at this point?
Well, Brent, during next week's special session, the state legislature will put in place an election monitor for the November mayoral race in Bridgeport. But this is not new. I'm told the legislature was already planning to take this step before these issues in Bridgeport were raised last week. Lawmakers already approved an election monitor for the 2023 Bridgeport mayoral and city council races and the state and national elections in 2024. During this past regular session. But due to a mistake in the state budget, the money to implement this monitor was allocated to the wrong agency. The legislature is set to fix this issue in next week's special session, but by moving money from the State Elections Enforcement Commission to the Secretary of the State's office.
Obviously, it's too late for the primary, although an election monitor would not have been monitoring the drop boxes to have prevented this situation. But I believe what the legislature intended to do was to have a monitor in place in Bridgeport as it has in the past. So I would love to see that in place in time for the general election.
We are blessed to have an opportunity next week with a special session dedicated to our election laws. We have an opportunity to correct this. We all know about it and we all can see it. So let's do something about it.
And while an election monitor would not have prevented this alleged interference, as Secretary Thomas said, Kelly claims legislative majority leaders are trying to use one as a blanket fix. He says tighter security is needed for ballot drop boxes and increased penalties should be in place for election interference charges. While Kelly says these issues need to be tackled in next week's special session, majority leaders tell me they should be discussed through the committee process in the regular session. Kelly says he will be having conversations with majority leadership in the coming days. Sarah, Brent.
All right, thank you, Emma. Breaking news just in the newsroom from New Haven, where police have arrested a mother in connection with the death of her 10-month-old baby.
Now, that baby died back in June, but police did not say how the baby died. Tragically, police provided that update just a little while ago, saying the baby died from a fentanyl overdose. On Monday, the boy's mother, Alexandra Polino, turned herself in to police to face charges of manslaughter and 2 counts of risk of injury. She's being held on a $250,000 bond.
Turning to the weather now. Another really nice day out there.
Yeah, will the nice weather last through the weekend? No, probably not. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now. Rach.
We knew that this was too good to be true. We've got another beautiful day in store for tomorrow before things start to head downhill. It's 73 degrees right now in Hartford. Such a beautiful picture here overlooking the capital city, but we are getting a better handle on the weekend forecast, and we don't really love what we see. Periods of rain starting Saturday and even taking us into early next week. It'll be chilly both days this weekend with highs in the 50s and 60s, and it will be breezy on top of that. We're not expecting any damaging winds. Still, though, you're going to need your umbrella off and on right through this weekend. Right now, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Overnight lows will again be on the cooler side, but not as chilly as this morning when most of us woke up to 40s. Overnight lows will be close to 50, though, as we head towards daybreak tomorrow, and it should be a really beautiful sunrise with just the right amount of clouds out there. But as the day wears on, the clouds will kind of get lower, they'll get thicker, they'll start blocking more of the sun. We'll see high temperatures climb into the low 70s, and we are dry right through tomorrow evening if you want to head to some of the fairs and festivals across the state. But we can't say the same for the weekend. Your full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. Horse owners in the state are being urged to vaccinate with a rise in mosquitoes testing positive for West Nile virus and Triple E. The State Department of Agriculture is recommending a 2-dose vaccine along with boosters for the horses. They're also asking owners to be on the lookout for horses showing symptoms like a head tilt and drowsiness because they could be related to a mosquito-borne illness. 33 towns across the state have recorded West Nile in mosquitoes this year, with 2 human cases reported. Cases have also been found in birds. Triple E has been reported in mosquitoes in 6 towns.
New tonight, a pedestrian was killed early this morning after being hit by a police cruiser being driven by a New Britain police officer. State police say the officer was driving on West Main Street just after 1 a.m. and hit a woman who was trying to cross the roadway. That woman died from her injuries. Police have not released the identities of the officer or the pedestrian. Anyone who may have witnessed the crash should call state police.
One person is in critical condition tonight after an overnight stabbing on Boswell Avenue in Norwich. Police say they got a call around 1:30 a.m. from someone who heard a person yelling that they'd been stabbed. They later found that victim at Bacchus Hospital with a stab wound in the chest. Police believe this was not a random attack and say there's no public safety concern.